I'm going to talk briefly about someone called Beth Moon, who is a photographer who is an American. And I first came across her last year at a photo festival that happens every year in a village called Lagasse, which is in Brittany. They have photographs from photographers from all over the world, and all the photographs are outside, and they are all absolutely huge, and they have hundreds. There must be hundreds all over the village and in the sort of woodland nearby. Well, I went last year, which was the first time I'd been after COVID. And this, for instance, this one, that they were talking about Brazil and the Amazon rainforests and the indigenous peoples. And then at one end, I came across these, and I think everybody loves trees, don't they? And these are photographs by this artist called Beth Moon. I don't know if I can expand on it. And she spent 13 years going around the world photographing ancient, huge trees. Beth Moon: time is the shape of an old oak as the winds caress and sculpt the bark, defining hardship and beauty. Time is the trunk that splits apart in great age to accommodate the tempest. Evidence of time is revealed in the furrowed bark of an ancient tree, gnarled, crooked, and beautiful. I photograph these trees because I know words alone are not enough, and I want their stories to live on. I photograph these trees because they may not be here tomorrow. There's lots of different types of baobabs. These are ones in Madagascar, and they store water in the tissues, cells, inside these enormous trunks. And they are the weirdest trees. They're huge, absolutely huge. And there's lots of folk tales around them, as you can imagine. But the story is that when the world was created, the gods created a beautiful baobab tree, and it became extremely arrogant and proud. And in the end, the gods thought, well, we're not having this. So they pulled it out of the earth, turned it upside down, and replanted it. I think that's a wonderful story. This tree is a K-pop. It's a K-pop tree. Look at it. It's just absolutely astonishing. And this one is actually in America, but they don't come from America. There's a story with this, that a little girl found a seed that had floated across the seas, and she took it home and planted it in the garden, and this is what grew. And here's another one of her pictures. Now, somewhere, this is a different kind of baobab. This is another type of baobab tree, and it produces edible fruits, and the wood is very strong. So it's a tree that is to be encouraged, and it's very, very old, some of these trees. The ancient trees that she has photographed go from sort of 300, 400, 500 years old in Britain, but some of these baobabs, they reckon, are 2,000 plus years old. These are the baobabs in Madagascar. Look at those. Aren't they weird? Anyway, but she started in the UK, and of course in the UK we have a lot of older trees, not quite as old as 2,000 years old, but pretty old all the same. And this one is the Bleeding Yew of Nivern. Correct me if my pronunciation's wrong, Bill. And it's in Pembrokeshire. And they maintain it's about 700 years old. So, and it bleeds red sap, which trickles down its bark once a year. So the story about that is that a monk who'd done absolutely nothing at all wrong was hung from the tree, and that it's his blood that is pouring down every year. And another story is that it will always bleed until the world is at peace. Now, this next one, I think this is absolutely beautiful. These are two use, and they're called the Sentinels of St Edward's, and it's the church in Stow-on-the-Wold, and they've grown up like this around the door. And the suggestion is that Tolkien used it as to stimulate his idea for the doors of Moria in Lord of the Rings. It's a sweet chestnut. This is one of Beth Moon's. She uses black and white, and she actually develops them, you know, in the old-fashioned way, in a big tray with all the chemicals. It was planted in the early 18th century. That one. Now this next one, isn't that weird? Now this oak, let's just make sure, it's called Majesty, and it's in Kent, and it's 12 meters girth. This is called a dragon's blood tree, and these grow on an island called, again my pronunciation, Socotra, which is part of the Yemen, and they grow high up in the mountains, and they're that peculiar shape because they're so high up. They have all their sort of spiny leaves at the top to try and draw the moisture out of the mists at the top of the mountains. I actually found a picture, a colour picture, to show you what they look like. Is that incredible? But they're an endangered species. This next one, again, it's Socotra, like the island in the Yemen, and this is a bottle tree called the desert rose. And again, it stores all its water in these thick trunks. Now, this one is in Cambodia, and it's a tree I've never heard of. It's called a bayon tree. Amazing, isn't it? It looks like some sort of alien out of a film. And then I think this is my last one of this. I actually call it the teapot tree, the teapot. And that, Bill and everybody else, is one of the night pictures from the sequence of photographs that she's called Diamond Nights. And she went out into far places of Africa where there was no other light but the light from the stars. And so she took a whole sequence of pictures at night. I think it's beautiful. I'd put this picture up, and as you know, it's the yew that was chopped down on Hadrian's Wall. Again, another very old tree. And I've had a haiku from Graham, which I'll read while we're looking at this. And he's called it the Sycamore of Hope. An ancient tree felled, fake news, thuggery, and hate, but new growth breaks through.
Direction of travel. Leaves fall, ochre now. From sperm to worm, womb to tomb, I grow a new bough.
Oh, wow.
First one, Christmas tree planted. Many Christmases go by. 50-foot monster.
We told me about that before.
And the second one is fir tree in snow. Gold crests perch on the branches. Free Christmas baubles.
Oh, that's really good. Lorraine?
Right. That damn sycamore. Leaves and sticks and whirligigs. But I do love it.
Yeah.
So this first bit happened. She fell from the tree. The branch snapped into pieces. She sprang up unhurt. Now the second one is she fell from the tree. The branch snapped into pieces. The green leaves wet with tears.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That's lovely.
That's a Coeden Unig at Llyn Padawn. It's just outside Llanberis. It's called the Lone Tree. That's a winter.
Wow.
And sunrise.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that fantastic?
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah,
It's
Right,
great.
we're on the last 1 minute 40 seconds now.
Oh, thanks, Jackie. Those photographs.
Yeah, they
were
were fabulous. They're really good.